Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this video goes along with station number 3, and our goal is to solve inequalities using multiplication and division, and this goes with section 5.2 in your textbook. You're going to need the flip-flop notes pasted into your notebook, and we'll fill in the information as we watch the video. Alright, so these are the flip-flop notes. And it says to solve inequalities, you follow the same steps as solving equations, but there's a special situation where we have to flip the inequality sign. And that's why I've got a picture of flip-flops here to help you remember to flip the inequality sign. And the two situations are, first, you reverse the inequality, so the variable is on the left. And an example of that would be if I have, for example, 6 is less than x, and I want to reverse it so the variable is on the left, flip the inequality and the number on the right. So I flipped the inequality there to put the variable on the left. And that's often very useful for you when you're trying to graph. It's a lot easier when the variable is on the left to figure out which direction to shade when you're graphing. Now, the second situation when you're going to need to flip the inequality sign is when you multiply or divide by a negative when solving. Let's look at an example of that. So, for example, I have the equation negative 2x is greater than 6. And so to solve that, I would divide both sides by negative 2. And notice I'm dividing by a negative as I'm solving. So in this case, that disappears. I get x. I need to flip. Oops, that's not flipped. Flip the inequality and simplify that final answer. So those are the two circumstances when you need to flip the inequality. Flippy floppy. All right, let's do some examples. Now remember, this is a no calculator unit. If you are struggling with any of these operations, you need to seek help as soon as possible. All right, let's solve this first one here on the left. It says 15y is less than or equal to 60. So to get y by itself, the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 15. That'll disappear, and that gives me y. I'm going to use the same symbol because I did not divide by a negative. I divided by a positive, so I'm not flipping here. And 60 divided by 15 is 4. All right, let's try the second example. We've got negative 4 times x is greater than 16. All right, so this is multiplication, so the opposite is division. I'm going to divide both sides by a negative, so guess what? I need to flip my inequality. That disappears and I'm left with x, and 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4. See, these aren't too difficult. All right, let's try another. Now, these are going to feel harder, especially letter A, because of the fractions. And I know you guys hate fractions, but we can do this. All right? So, what I can do here is, because this is multiplication, I'm multiplying by a fraction, I can get rid of that fraction by multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3 over 1. And remember, 3 over 1 actually simplifies to 3. So this is going to be easy. Y, I didn't multiply by a negative, so I don't flip a sign. 6 times 3 is 18. See, not so bad. Now, what if we had something a little bit more challenging. Like, let's say 2/3 y is less than 6. All right, so same thing, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 3/2. And in this case, it doesn't simplify to get rid of the fraction. So I'm going to make the 6 a fraction as well. And if you recall that to multiply, let's just simplify this all out here. To multiply, we're just going to go straight across. 6 times 3 is 12, 18, and 1 times 2 is 2, and we can simplify that because 18 divided by 2 is 9. I know you guys can remember how to do this stuff. All right, letter B. All right, we've got x divided by -4 is greater than or equal to 2. And you guys notice that each time I'm reading these, I'm using the correct vocabulary for the inequalities. It's really good practice. All right, so here I've got x divided by. So remember, the opposite of dividing is multiplying. And notice I'm multiplying by a negative, so I need to flip the inequality symbol. That'll disappear, and I'll be left with just an x, and 2 times -4 is -8. Not too shabby. All right, now another little comment, set builder notation. When you're doing your practice in your online book, your book uses set builder notation. So if your answer looked like y is greater than 7, set builder notation is going to look like this. Notice the y is greater than 7 is the second thing written. This notation, the bracket and then the y, that means we are using the variable y, and then the solution is y is greater than 7, and you close those brackets. Now, you need to be able to recognize it. You are not required to use it. That's all that you need to know about that. All right, so go back to your Google Doc and figure out what your next step is. Keep focused, guys. You're doing great.